Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez. This is my workshop. Wait a minute. Well, if you buy junk, you get junk. Half of my light went out. These, of course, are Harbor Freight lights. You buy junk, you get junk, and I'm gonna have to replace that. This is now my work area is dark. The other ones are working okay. I'm just gonna move, I think, this one down here. I'll lose a little bit of light back here, but I need to get this replaced. I think I'm gonna be on the lookout for some better quality lights. The reason I got these were 17, 18 bucks versus 50 bucks for some of these lights. But the thing I don't like is the banding in the videos. Maybe if I buy a better quality light, I can eliminate some of that banding. I've got all the settings and the cameras right, but I still see that banding. I don't like that. At any rate, let's get this fixed so we can get on with today's video. Take two. Everybody, my name is Deez. This is my workshop. Welcome back. Glad you're here. Today we're going to get on with reviewing the mini lathe and how it's holding up with the pulley, in addition to reviewing all of the spare parts that I've bought and discovered where to buy those. I won't post links. I don't post links because by the time a few months goes by, those links are probably going to be dead anyway. If you want to know where or what I've purchased, feel free to shoot a comment in the comment section or email me to my About page. I'll do what I can to answer any questions as best I can with my experience and what I've obtained. So today we're going to review all of the parts, the replacement parts that I've purchased, I have obtained, that I have in stock and on hand in case something goes wrong, and how you could possibly get some of those parts as well. There's a few parts that I went ahead after this last round of issues with the pulley. I thought I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can find a couple different things and just have them on hand. I really like the lathe as far as its function now. It's working fine. I know the machine. It isn't the best quality, but it's for the hobby shop, for the cost. It's been a great machine. I've done all kinds of stuff and I'm still enjoying it. So I am not gonna be purchasing a new lathe anytime soon. So I wanna keep this one running as long as I can before I go to that next level, something with a gearbox perhaps, something much bigger. But for now, we're just gonna keep this thing alive, and I thought it would be good to share the parts that I've acquired and why I got them, and also do a review of that pulley. It's been a couple months now, and I wanna make sure everything's still holding up. Everything seems to be holding up pretty well. I do have this top belt a little tighter than the bottom belt, and the idea is if I bind up on any work pieces, I'd rather the motor slip on the belt than the top. So but to be honest, I've never had the belt slip until I got oil in there when I was working on this thing, and when it slipped the oil, of course, but otherwise it would just stall the motor. I'd immediately shut the power off. And you know, that happens, you know, with these machines, but that's just the gears, you know, clicking together. The other noise that you would hear up here is when this thing spins. It's just the jaws moving, so you'll hear that noise, but otherwise you don't hear that pulley making that noise anymore. So you can hear the jaws. That's what that click is. But if we kick the speed up, there's really no noise in here. I'm going to keep an eye on these bearings. That's the gear noise. It's kind of hard too with these mounting system. These gears can be kind of at an angle. They can rub. You got to play with them to get it to run quieter. But honestly, I don't hear any pulley movement. Seems to be running very well. Overall, the thing's running very well. Let's go ahead and cut the power. I do have a little frilly piece of string on that. I'm gonna take this belt off because I want to clean this thing up and evaluate it. So let's get that belt off of there. There we go. There. Come on there. I just don't want to pinch my finger. There we go. So there's one of the original belts here. Again, I want to clean this piece of string off of there. Otherwise, the belts are even holding up nice. So I'm going to spin this without any connection to the spindle bore as well. And you can hear, we can isolate this spindle pulley. So they're taking that off, take some of the pressure off, and there's a little front to back movement, but there's very little side play. That's what it was when I first put it on there. So maybe it just needs tightened down a little bit. So I will go ahead and work with that as well. But let's turn this on and listen to it without the spindle being connected. It's running smooth, and this is Dave's redesigned bearing setup with the 2 needle bearings. Yeah, I think if anything, since I'm going to mess with this a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and take this off and re-grease all of those with some red and tacky type grease or something. I didn't use that before, but I'm going to go ahead and use it this time. I want to make sure that stays nice and lubricated. as you can see, it's holding up pretty well. There was a lot of, I would say, probably aluminum residue, probably from where that press fit sleeve is in the back. Maybe it's spinning inside the pulley, causing some wear. I'll have to keep an eye on this. Maybe it needed a tighter press fit, I'm not sure. But overall, it's not wobbling. Let's get this tightened up. Just snug to where the thrust bearings aren't too tight. That's too tight. Probably even go. There's no play. I think that's good there. If we go too loose, then we get some play. I don't want that. Let's tighten that back up. There we go. Lots of grease in there. I think that's going to hold up. I do want to make sure I don't have any grease on the pulley itself. And I think overall it's holding up pretty well, but I think it may need addressed. It's certainly not wobbling like the original design, and I'll show you a little bit more of that here in a little bit. Overall, it's holding up well. What kind of spare parts do we have for this lathe? Where can you find them? How did I find them? And I'll try to put some descriptions, some information in the description, such as like the type of parts if you're trying to search for this stuff on your own. This is my box that I keep all my lathe parts in. Few of the latest things that I got are related to the pulley situation that I had. So I think what we'll do is get started with that. After all of the issues that I had, I started looking at just to see if I could find some replacement parts in case that pulley was ever destroyed. Now fortunately, I have a Dave. Not everybody has a Dave. If you've watched these videos, you know that Dave and I collaborated with the pulley situation. He actually has made 2 pulleys. He just finished one. It's in his possession. He's just going to hang on to it. He said if I ever need it, let him know and he'll ship it my way. And it looks beautiful. He finished it. It just looks fantastic. He did a great job on that. I think it was on one of his latest videos if you want to check out his channel. But in the meantime, before I had known that he finished that pulley, I thought I'm gonna have to try to find a spare part in case this pulley ever tanks, completely just gets destroyed and unusable. So I started looking, and lo and behold, I took a chance. I found what I thought to be the correct replacement pulley on AliExpress. Now, you would think you could buy this kind of stuff off of Vevor. They sell everything in the world, but I could not find spare parts for this lathe on Vevor. Now, there's some gears and things, but as far as the pulleys system and all that, it's very difficult to find. So, went to AliExpress, 30 to 40 bucks. I think I paid 36 shipped. And it was the complete motor, pulley, idler pulley assembly. And I thought, well, I'm going to take a chance. Oh, including the spindle pulley as well. So I took a chance. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this thing. And lo and behold, this is the exact pulley that we have. Now it's the original design, same thing that came with my lathe. But this is the system, how it was set up from the factory. And check this out. This thing still wobbles, kind of hard to tell, but from the factory, this is brand new. Haven't ever used it. You can hear let me pull that out. You can hear that thing wobbles. You can see it. So the entire design of the way that they use these roller skate bearings, 608Zs, it just moves. It's just a bad original design. However, the pulley functions. I've got a replacement pulley in case I need it. That was really the goal. And in addition, I got a motor pulley and a spindle pulley if I ever want to tackle those or have some damage to those. And again, I got that on AliExpress. You're going to need to search for your model. The key that you're really, I have a Vevor MX400. You're going to want to look for MX210. Those seem to be more widely available, and the parts appear to be the same. I think it's the same lathe, really. MX210, MX400, maybe an MX600, but all of that little MX number, they all seem to have the same components. So in the end, I have some spare parts. I can go back to the original setup if I need to. I've got a pulley that I can put on there if I ever need to replace it. It's a little chewy, like it's been dropped, but I can clean that up a little. But that's the first thing. I thought after all the troubles, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can source a spare pulley, and would you believe it? I was able to find one. Again, AliExpress. Just search for MX200 pulley. Just kind of take a look at it, do some measurements. There'll be some, the measurements won't be exact with what you have, but really close. So take your chance. I thought for 30 bucks, it's worth it. The next thing that I think is very important is these guys. I thought these things are very unique, at least as far as I was concerned. And if one of these snaps or breaks, I am done. The lathe is non-functional to me. I can't use it. So I thought, it's going to be important perhaps someday to get some belts for these. Now we know they're poly V belts, they call them. They're 4 ribs, if you count them. 4 ribs. These are key terms you're going to need if you're searching for these things. Poly ribbed, 4 ribs. I believe it's 15 inches in diameter, but it's actually metric, so it'll be the equivalent of that. And then I think it's 3/8 inch wide, again, metric, but that's what you're looking for. And I found these on eBay. It was $16 plus tax. It was $20, I think, to get 2 new poly V belts. These guys are the replacement belts. So I thought for $15, I'm going to pick up a set of these. You can see they match very well. Same material. Again, on the listing, it said 15 millimeter, 3/8 inch wide. Do your research, but that's what you're looking for. Poly V, 4 ribs, 15 inches, 3/8 inch wide, or the metric equivalent, or pretty close. Again, remember there's some adjustment with this piece, back and forth, up and down. So as long as it's really close, you're gonna be fine. So I've got a replacement pulley, and I've got 2 replacement belts, should I ever have an issue with those, and I think that's gonna extend the life of this lathe. So that was the most recent, the recent things that I purchased. Again, these were on eBay. I got these off of eBay. I couldn't find them on AliExpress, although they might be there. But I went ahead and, as soon as I found them, I grabbed them. And I think the reseller was Christmas Carol. Again, this is as of the end of September 2024. I don't post links because that stuff is only going to be legit or valid for so long. So email me, I can give you the details that I have and maybe help you source one, but I thought these were 2 great pickups in order to prolong the life of that mini lathe. So let's just get on to some past things that I've acquired. Most of this is just parts I've taken off of the lathe, set aside. This is the old gib that had all those problems, the original gib. I just keep that in case I never need it. The old knob that came with my AXA tool post. That's not really a spare part that I need. It's just one that I have. This is a sleeve for that AXA tool post, the first one I ever made. So nothing major in here, just some spare parts. I like to keep it all together. That's for the lathe. But if we open this guy, this is a gear, a 72 tooth gear that Dave made. Again, he's when I have a problem, he likes to take on the challenge to see if he can make one. He did a fantastic job with this. Just beautiful. But the lathe, check your gears when you get your lathe, because I didn't get this gear. It came with it. I didn't buy that though. This was custom made. So good luck on your journey with that. I bought this early on. Maybe it was an impulse buy, but I thought if that controller board ever failed on the back of the lathe, I'm also dead in the water. I can't use this lathe. So there's a number on here. You can get the number of your board. They're probably all very similar, if not the same control board, but you can get that on the back of on the actual control board that's in the back side of your lathe if you have this type of model. And you can see that model number is right here. So I'll take a close-up picture of that, insert it right here. And you can get that number. This one I picked up on Amazon. Now these weren't all that cheap. This I think was 65 bucks or something. But again, I thought early on when I was first getting into it, I was like, if that board ever failed, I'm gonna need to replace it. I didn't know how long these things would be available, so I went ahead and picked this up. I may never need it, but I do have it if I do. So I bought a control board. So other than the motor, I kind of have all the parts that I could use if I ever needed to replace the thing. I did have a failure with the potentiometer. Again, you can look on the back of them. This one is a 2K47 2-watt. WTH118 is the part number. The numbers are on the back of these things. You can pick these up for really cheap on Amazon. I don't know that it's necessary to actually, this is a common component. You don't have to have one on hand. This is the one that's failed. If you remember way early on, I got a video on this. You turn this up and the lathe would just start slowing down automatically without touching this. If you tap this, then the lathe would shoot up. Kind of a safety issue. You're gonna have bad finishes, problems. So I replaced this. I haven't had a problem since. I just snipped these off, soldered them back on. That thing worked really good. But potentiometer, less than 10 bucks. You can have a spare one of those on hand. And the rest of this stuff is just parts that I keep that are for the lathe. Here's all the gears that I have. And I mean, that's really it. I've got an old small 0XA tool post. If anybody wants any of this stuff, hit me up. I don't use it. I modified my tool post, which is usable, but I drilled this out so it actually doesn't function like it's supposed to. Again, early on I made a mistake, but it still works. But I keep all that stuff in here. That's all the spare parts that I purchased and where I got them. Hit me up in the comments or shoot me an email if you're struggling or have the same issues that I had. You know, some of these parts might actually help you out. Let's get back to the lathe, put the belts back on, start that thing up, and just make sure everything's running well now that we got it greased up again, and close this video out. Well, like with anything, I need to keep an eye on everything. I don't know if there is a perfect design, but this certainly is a far more stable setup. It's not rocking still after much use. It doesn't have any play. There is a bit of a rhythm to it if you get at a certain speed, That maybe that's because of the dual needle bearing setup. Maybe it's something slightly off. I'm just not sure, but it's holding up very well. I think what I'll do is just make sure I keep an eye on that, re-grease this thing often just to keep it going, and just keep inspecting it from time to time. But I was wanting to use it for a while, come back in and do an evaluation, and so far things are holding up nicely. Let's get our cover back on, and we can call this lathe review video done, including spare parts. Hopefully some of you found that helpful. I know if you got one of these, you're probably going to find yourself in a situation where you need some spare parts someday, and maybe this is the video you've been looking for. Let's put that back on. Make sure things are still running okay. There we go. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed. I didn't record a clip to close out this video, but overall, after doing an inspection of the new lathe pulley, idler pulley setup situation that we have going on, that was a collaboration video that we did, it's holding up pretty well. I do think that the bushing that was made might be slipping a little and causing some friction and maybe wearing down some of that aluminum material. I'll just need to keep an eye on it. It could have just been excessive grease. It was a gray grease that I used. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. One thing's for sure, it is holding up after a month or two of usage. It's holding up very well. I just got done with another project that's unrelated to this. It's turning much better. It's not sounding clunky. It's doing what it's supposed to do. The lathe is performing as good as it has. I'm quite happy with it. I've got everything shored up, tightened up since that video. So overall, it's holding up very well. It's good improvement, and I'm just going to keep going with it for now. And we'll just keep an eye on it. So this is the beginning of not the beginning, but I'm now in year 3, the 3rd year of owning this lathe, working on it with all the materials. We've made a lot of improvements. We're going to see what year 3 has in store for us, and we'll do a 3-year review next July when we get to that point. Overall, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you have any questions about the replacement parts, feel free to hit me up. I'll make sure I share what I can with you. Again, I don't post links because a lot of that stuff, by the time people watch these videos, might be no longer valid, or I don't have an affiliation with anybody either. So I don't care to support anybody. They're not supporting me. So unless I feel truly strong about a product, I'm not going to pimp anybody's wares, so to speak. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next one. If you haven't subscribed, please do.